Hello, welcome back to my channel, Hasty Books. Today I'm finally back from a 3-week summer holiday. I've not been back as in I've stayed in my house. I had my parents visit for almost 3 weeks and it was so much fun. We showed them all our local haunts, all the little towns and gorgeous landscapes near us in the national park, and it's been just a really good time. And in this time, my parents are, how to say it, also bookworms. They love reading, they love to buy books. Their house is filled with books. I think I actually did a tour of sort of the books in their house a few years back, and yeah, so it's difficult to go places and not buy books. Obviously for them, they don't speak English a lot, so they weren't really buying as many books, but they were looking with me and it was really fun. And my mom was really keen to go to some places of charity shops and stuff like that because they're always so fun to peruse. And so I brought them to our local sort of recycling and reuse center, so that was really fun. And when we got there, they had a thing was like, if you fill a crate, yes, a crate of books, you only pay £5 for the whole crate. And at first I was like, look, I'm trying not to buy too many books. I'm trying to read the books I own, But then I went through the books a little bit and, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. And I was like, well, at this point, at even £1 a book, I'd be better to fill a crate. So I grabbed a crate and I started putting books in. And my parents were just about, and they came back and they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm filling this crate. It's for £5. So they got going. I don't need them to try to dissuade me. They were enabling me. They were going through the books and be like, Camilla, what about this? Again, they don't speak a lot of English, but they were like types of covers and names, and they were like, what about this? So we filled a crate. I have a big bag here, and this bag actually doesn't include I want to say 15 to 20 books that we bought that are in the children's section. So my mom was like, well, if you need to fill a crate anyway, and you have 2 nephews, why not look at some children's books? So we did. We got lots of cool Scottish books as well, and some older stuff. I think there was one that was poems by Robert Louis Stevenson. And so we just filled all the space we had left as well with children's book. So we're going to be giving that to our nephews over the next probably Christmas and birthdays. So that'll be really cool. But I have also many books here. So I thought that I would I don't really remember, I was just in a frenzy a little bit, and I also don't want to encourage too many huge hauls and stuff like that. But obviously I just picked a lot of books because why not, but obviously with a conscious thought that I'm going to bring some to the little library at my job. We have a free library in the village where I live, so we're I'm going to be spreading that about a little bit and keeping what I really sort of want to keep, basically. So I thought we'd go through the books and see, and I thought if you've heard of any of those and you think that sounds great, just let me know. I'll hopefully prioritize the books and keeping the books that, I think actually sound up my alley. So I would love your interest and comments as well. So let's get going and diving into this big box. So first one is, okay. Time Bends a Life by Arthur Miller. Was it of Arthur Miller? About Arthur Miller? I actually don't know, but I remember my dad saying, what about Arthur Miller? And I was like, sure. I didn't even look. I had no idea this was what he meant. This book, oh, there's a sticker, I can't see. His political career has been very active. He was married to Marilyn Monroe, so the historical interest of Time Bend comes as no surprise, but its power and quality are revelation. Arthur Miller's achievement in this book is to fuse the rhetorical power of drama with the steely integrity of his life. Okay, interesting. So it seems like a autobiography in a sense. Yeah, I might look into this a bit more. It's a surprise to me that this was in the bag. Next we have Life Class by Pat Barker. This just sounded, I've heard of Pat Barker before, and I don't know if I've read much by this author. So yeah, here, it's spring 1914. This Students of the Slade School of Art gather at Henrik Tong's studio for his life drawing class. But for Paul Tarrant, the class is troubling, underscoring his own uncertainty about making a mark in the world. When war breaks out and the army won't take Paul, he enlists in the Belgian Red Cross. Sounds interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah, this one, I think it's a sort of teenage book, but I have heard of Ross Sayers, so he's a Scottish author, and I really want to read his other book, Daisy on the Outer Line, which is about the Glasgow subway, basically. So I saw his name and I was like, okay, I don't know what this is. Looks a bit queer. And it just, I don't know, I just want to read this author, so I picked it up and I'll look into it. It says, 4th year, 2 pals, 1 murder. Welcome to Battlefield High. Okay, I'm sort of intrigued already. Red Dust Road by Jackie Kay. Obviously I had to pick this up, and she used to be the Macar of Scotland, so that's the sort of official national poet, and I've always wanted, I think this is her autobiography or part of it, and I really want to read it, so picked it up. Then there's Wedlock, How Georgian Britain's Worst Husband Met His Match by Wendy Moore. I was just intrigued by that title. This is like true crime, basically, about women. Yes, she was a rich heiress in 18th century Britain. And then she hears of a gallant hero that was mortally wounded in a duel to defend her honor, so she feels like she has to marry him, but then he makes a miraculous recovery, and so she's stuck in this like brutal marriage. So it says, she was terrorized by violence, humiliation, deception, and kidnap, but the life of Mary Eleanor Bow is a remarkable tale of triumph in the face of overwhelming betrayal. Again, super interesting, especially if it's actually nonfiction. I feel like it's still a bit unclear to me. Another one so my dad picks up, The Shapes of the Runes by Juan Gabriel Vasquez. Obviously, just from the name, my dad was like, have you heard of this person before? And I was like, no. So we put it in the basket, in the crate. Introduced at a party in Bogota to the eccentric Carlos Carballo, Juan Gabriel Vasquez finds himself caught up in an argument about who was really behind the assassination of 2 leading Colombian politicians. Pitting rational skepticism against Carballo's conviction that the dark hand of conspiracy is everywhere, the writer descends into the labyrinth of Colombia's violent history to create a compelling narrative that sets out to illuminate both murders and eventually reveal what is driving Carballo. Oh, here, shortlisted for the Booker International in 2019. Interesting. But this just sounded like nonfiction to me. Simultaneously a criminal investigation, historical narrative, and autofiction. Interesting. It sort of blends genre and I guess sort of writing. So I think that'll be interesting. Okay. Sounds exactly like what something my dad would read. If this was in French, he would 100% have taken it home. 100%. Then The Girl Who Smiled Beads, A Story of War and What Comes After by Clementine Wamaria. So what is this? I mean, I just really like the cover. I just thought it was really striking. Clementine Wamaria was 6-year-old when her mother and father began to speak in whispers. In 1994, she and her 15-year-old sister Claire fled the Rwandan massacre and spent the next 6 years wandering to 7 African countries. Oh yes, I remember. I opened it and I was like, oh, this is from Rwanda. I have some family from there as well. And yeah, it just sounds really interesting and intriguing and probably extremely harrowing, honestly. But I think these are the kind of things that you sort of have to be witness to. So I think this is going to be one. I don't know that I'm going to be in the mood for reading this for a while. Like, you need to be in the right mood to read this, but yeah. Then, changing mood, completely changing gear here. Carte Postale from Greece by Victoria Hislop. I've never read Hislop. I might just bring this one to work. I feel like this is the vibe of some people at my job. Because I think I'm already bringing another Victoria Hislop that I also got from like maybe another free library. I'm going to bring it to work because I've never read it and it's been like years and years. But I just liked the French title. I like Carte Postale, you know, like the idea of like a postal card and like the holiday. So that's just the vibe that I seem to like. Week after week, the postcard arrive addressed to someone Ellie does not know, each time with initial A. is this like Pretty Little Liar? These alluring carte postale of Greece brighten her life and cast a spell on her. Oh, actually, that sounds kind of cute and nice. Okay. Next, we have Inspector Farrow and the Edinburgh Mysteries. So it has 3. So it's Enter, Second Murder, Bloodline, and Deadly Beloved by Alana Knight. I think this is just because it was Scottish that I picked this up. Yeah, it's just three books in one because it's quite a chunker. Yeah, so just crime fiction. Next we have Brick Lane by Monica Ali. I feel like I don't need to introduce this one. I feel like there's another Monica Ali, but I think it's further down in the bag. The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. I don't know where this... Oh, this is from the Strand bookstore, apparently. So yeah, I've been meaning to read all of the Bronte novels. I still haven't finished that. I think that took a bit of a backseat when I started my PhD, unsurprisingly. But I'm actually almost finished Dennis of Waffle Hall. Yes. But The Professor I still haven't read, so yes. Next is Hing's Short Stories and That by Chris McQueer. And I remember seeing, I think I saw this, yeah, it's 4 Inc., which is a local publisher to Scotland that I have so many books from actually. And I'm sure I'd seen this one before and I hadn't actually purchased it, but yeah, I grabbed that quickly when I saw it on one of the book boxes at the shop. Next we have The People on Privilege Hill by Jane Gardam. I think this is the sort of sequel, I want to say, to Bilgewater. And I remember a writer that was leading a workshop that I went to had said that my writing was a little bit like Jane Gardam, so I picked up a few of her books and been reading them. I quite like the genre, and I don't know what it says that he said that my writing is similar. I'll take it as a compliment. But yeah, I just picked this up. Then there's, look how pretty this is. I was quite happy to see one. She and Her Cat by Makoto Shinkai and Naruki Nagakawa, translated by Jenny Tapley Takamori, who also translated Convenience Store Women. So yeah, I mean, I love it. I have one up there. Oh, you can't see it, but I have one on the top shelf. I have another book from, I think from Japan, that is with a cat on top. There's so many cat books in there. So yeah, got that. Then the Wish List by Sophia Monique-Coutts. I am undecided about this author. And by undecided I mean I've never read her and I'm not sure if I want to. But my mom was like, I think she knows that I like to read some rom-coms from time to time and some lighter stuff. So she was like, I think she just saw the cover and she was literally like, what about this? And I was like, oh sure, add it to the pile, you know, so I'll decide another time if I want to. Then we have The Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan, which, why not, you know, as a feminist. It's really funny because anecdote coming in here, I used to work for this, like, office, I won't say the details, but anyway, it's this office in Montreal over the summer, and I kept coming back. And at some point, one of the partners actually sat me down and he was like, oh, how's uni going? How's everything? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be actually heading off to Scotland to do a master's degree in like sort of feminist literature, sort of, you know, women, gender and stuff. And he was like, oh my god, have you read The Feminine Mystique? And it was just so funny to see this like 70-year-old man telling me about his feminist sort of revelation. So yeah, so I always had it in my mind, but I'd never actually picked it up or read it, so got it. Then I have here Travels with My Aunt by Graham Greene. I think this just looks like a cute little old book. Where is this from? This is a 1969 edition. So yeah, it just looked so cute. I've not read a lot of Graham. Don't know why I'm holding this like it's gonna do something. I've not read a lot of Graham Greene, but you know, might be worth it at some point. Ah, here's the other Monica Ali, In the Kitchen. Just grabbed it because of her name. I have no idea. Gabriel Lightfoot, executive chef at the once splendid Imperial Hotel, aims to run a tight kitchen. Though under constant challenge from the competing demands of an exuberantly multinational staff, a gimlet-eyed hotel management and business partners with whom he's secretly planning to move to a restaurant of his own, all of Gabe's hard work looks set to pay off. Until that is, a worker turns up dead in the kitchen's basement. I'm sold. Let's go. Next is Transcription by Kate Atkinson. I've been seeing Kate Atkinson's name a lot. Like, I feel like that's not really in the genre and line that I usually read, but I've been seeing her name a lot, and like, I think some people even said that some of her books might be listed for the Women's Prize and stuff like that, so I was like, oh, interesting. So I just picked this one up because that's the only one that I found. 1940, 18-year-old Juliet Armstrong is reluctantly recruited into the world of espionage. Sent to an obscure department of MI5 tasked with monitoring the comings and goings of British fascist sympathizers, she discovers the work to be by turns both tedious and terrifying. But after the war has ended, she presumes the event of those years have been relegated to the past forever. Okay, that sounds interesting. It sounds really interesting. Okay, we're almost there, I swear, we're almost there. Okay, next is Running Like a Girl by Alexandra Hemingsley. This is one of my favorite running books. When I started running, this was recommended to me by multiple people, and I've thus been recommending it to everyone since then. And I was literally recommending it to a colleague recently. I already own this book. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, I need to get it to gift it to her. Definitely. Next is Diary of a Dog Walker by Edward Thornton. Time spent following a lead. This cover, I just thought it was so pretty with the drawing. And the name's intriguing. I have no idea if this is actually fiction or non-fiction, but I'm interested. Next we have Emma by Alexander McCall Smith, and this is a Scottish author, obviously, and I think this is just like a rewriting of Emma by obviously Jane Austen. This is July after all. Yes, it says sometimes it takes time to discover who you really are, and for Emma Woodhouse the journey is only just beginning. And she returns home to Norfolk from university. Emma starts to take charge. But as she begins to matchmake various friends and neighbors, some important lessons about life and relationship await her. Not surprising, but clearly maybe a modern take. I have not read any Alexander McCall Smith, actually, but I'm quite intrigued by his writing. It seems very prolific, and I would like to read it at some point. So this was one that might be really cool for like Jane Austen July. So yeah, good one. Next we have Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I think this is a little bit like fantasy a little bit. I remember seeing this cover many times and it just seemed fun. Agnieszka loves her village and sits deep in a peaceful valley, but the nearby enchanted forest casts a shadow over her home. Many have been lost to the wood and none return unchanged. The villagers depend on an ageless wizard, the dragon, to protect them from the forest's dark magic. However, this help comes at a terrible price. A young village woman must serve him for 10 years, leaving all she values behind. Okay, interesting. And there's The Paris Connection by Lorraine Brown. Again, this is one of these light reads that I was like, oh, maybe this. So, yeah. A Georgia Hare. I read one a couple of years ago, I want to say. This is Sylvester. If anyone has read it, let me know what you think. Last two. There's Mrs. Jeffrey reveals her art. A Victorian murder mystery by Emily Brightwell, and this was just a really interesting cover. And it's about, basically, obviously it's a model that goes to the artist's house to get painted, and yeah, it says the artist model never even showed up at Neville Grant's house, nor was expected, according to the cranky Mr. Grant. But with all of his ranting and raving, it was hard getting a straight answer. Then one of Grant's house guests suddenly dies right before their eyes, and it was no accident. Now Mrs. Jeffries has to work double time to find the missing model and the killer, and she'll have to get her whole staff involved before someone else becomes the next still alive. I like that art pun. So yeah, just throw that in the bag. And the last one is Gentlemen and Players by Joanne Harris. I've still not read anything by Joanne Harris, which is a shame. So, you know, I thought that this was the only one from her in the thing. So I thought, why not? The place is St. Oswald's, an old and long established boys' grammar school in the north of England. A new year has just begun, and from the staff and boys of the school, a wind of unwelcome change is blowing. Suits, paperwork, and information technology rule the world, and Roy Strately, Latin master, eccentric, and veteran of St. Oswald, is finally reluctantly contemplating retirement. But beneath the little rivalries, petty disputes, and everyday crises of the school, a darker undercurrent stirs, and a bitter grudge hidden and carefully nurtured for 13 years is about to erupt. I don't know. I feel like I need to read her at some point. Again, a bit of a chunker. So yeah, oh my goodness, that was all the books. I feel like there's so much there. But I haven't gone through the list. I'm quite excited. I picked some good ones, I think. If you've read any of them, let me know in the comments. And also, yeah, what's a recent book that you bought that you're really excited about reading? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching and hasty back. Bye!